The Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talk. My dad, my partner, my co-host, Cowboy Joe 64.
I am your father.
Just to get the Cowboys 2 good games to hopefully understand that they need to go receiver and go high with this next pick.
Yeah, yeah, that's really what this is gonna be about. All right, welcome people. Welcome. You're looking live at Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks, and I'm your host, and I have my co-host, my partner, um, Cowboy Joe 64, my dad, and we're ready to rock and roll with our Saturday Night Live. And or is it? It's
Fri-
Saturday, right?
Friday night.
It's Friday night. We're doing our Friday Night Live. Get my days confused. Do my Friday
Just
Night Live, and yeah. So we wanted to talk about the idea was or you want to go ahead and say what's up to the people?
what's up to the people? It's been a minute. We coming back with another one. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
All right. So yeah, we're just gonna do like a freestyle Friday night
yeah,
and do something tomorrow. So tonight we just hope some people join in and we can kind of catch up on the latest. It's been kind of a long week, but we kind of back at it again and talk about the latest we're gonna have with the draft and see what the latest rumors are. What you got?
yeah. I kind of wanted to go over. My idea was to go over like maybe 8 or 9 players that we think that the Cowboys might draft, or it's a high probability that they draft, and kind of go over each player and kind of see what they bring to the table and why it would be beneficial to draft them to our team. How would they help us immediately day one? So the first person, without a doubt, that we should talk about is I want to hear your take on Tedoroa McMillan. I know you were big on him from the very beginning, really last year before the draft even really started. Um, you were telling me that you thought this kid was going to be the next Randy Moss, or you thought he was like a bona fide number one receiver, and this guy was like somebody that you could not pass on. And this was way back when, months ago. So what led you to him, and how did you what led you to him, and then what do what do you think about him and how he's going to benefit our team now?
So the first time I saw him play, they played Colorado.
Hmm.
It was back. I think it was in 20. It was 23 or 24. I can't remember, but it was Dion's first year at Colorado,
Yeah.
and they played. So it was Travis Hunter against this receiver. It was a no-name receiver
Hmm.
that I had never heard of or seen before, and Travis Hunter couldn't cover this receiver, and Colorado lost. It was a very good game, but the reason they lost is because Travis Hunter, who probably is the best player in this draft, he couldn't cover this receiver that Arizona had. He was just toasting Travis Hunter. And so that was my first time, knowing who Ted was. And of course, this year started hearing more about him. So, I mean, he's my number one receiver just because of his size, his catch radius, just his big play, potential that he has. And I just think I think what I think right now is just people are overthinking it. You get people talking about the draft for 3 or 4 months, and people are just kind of at this point. It gets a little silly at some point. But what I see happening with him, and you got to help me out with this. The safety for the Baltimore Ravens,
Hmm.
his name escapes me at the moment.
Yeah,
So
really.
no, he's the present safety.
Oh.
And coming out of the draft, when the draft was being discussed months before the draft happened, he
Hmm.
was like a top 10 pick. Well, as people just started doing what they do with the draft, people started trying to find all kinds of holes in this game. He played for Notre Dame. You'll figure it out here in just a minute. And so they kind of they kind of brought him down before the draft.
Kyle
You know,
Hamilton or
Ky- Ky-
Darius?
Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
So they had months and months to talk about Kyle Hamilton. I mean,
Hmm.
Kyle Hamilton jumped off the screen. Okay. So what did the Ravens do? They were drafting around like 18, 19, maybe around 16.
What's up,
And what
Craig?
What's up, Craig? Thanks for joining. And so, what did the Ravens do?
Mhm.
They just waited for him to drop, and he fell to him. So now he's the best safety in the NFL. He
Yeah.
is. And so that's what happened with him. He's the same type of player. He didn't really test well at the combine. He didn't run like a 4.4, 4.3. He's
Mhm.
not very fast, but
No.
he's just a good football player. And
Mhm.
I think that's what's happening with Ted. They just over analyzing the player, and
Mhm.
it's just obvious the skills that he has. But I'm kind of at the point now where it's kind of silly season. I'm gonna let you talk.
Mhm.
I actually think he probably not he's not going to be there at 12.
Mm-mm.
So the thing for me that's going to be frustrating is if he is there at 12
Mhm.
and it's between him and Golden and they pick Golden. And then let me say this, when we're going to talk about Golden, I absolutely would be fine with Golden being on our team. He's going to be the number 2 receiver. He's going to play well. But if you're just asking me, Ted is a better player.
Mhm.
And it's not a whole lot of people arguing that. You got people that are talking up Golden, which is natural, but I just think that Ted is the number 1 receiver in this draft, and so that's just kind of where I am with it.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring up Golden. Because what you said earlier was you said that they're over analyzing the player, and I think that he's him not being fast and him not testing good at the combine. I'm thinking that it's just like you said, they're over analyzing the player, and they're also over analyzing Golden too. I think by because he ran such a dynamic 40 time, that moved him up the board quite a bit. But like you said, when it comes to these wide receivers in the NFL, that speed is really, 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 really sneaky because you can have a receiver, i.e., Henry Ruggs, that runs blazing speed, and then you could have a receiver that doesn't run that fast, like C.D. Lamb or C.D. Lamb or Justin Jefferson. They don't run as fast as Tyreek Hill or they don't run as fast as Henry Ruggs. But that's not to say that they're not better receivers because they definitely were. They definitely are. They're better receivers just because they're better. They're better. So this is another thing too that I wanted to talk about. We can talk about Golden, but what I wanted people to realize that I thought about this the other day. I was thinking to myself, so the receiving game, when you have receiver versus running back on a team, I think that a running back is more of gonna bring you more success or more yards or more points or more pop plays. It's gonna be a running back. It's gonna be more value in the running back because when you a running back, you know, the ball is snapped and 90% of the time or 80% of the time, you're gonna get the ball handed to you or tossed to you, and then now you can work. But when you're a receiver and you're going based off of, like they say, speed, this is why players get over analyzed. When you're a receiver, you gotta get off the line, okay, against someone that's just as fast as you or just as big as you. You got to get off the line. That's number one. Then you got to sell your route, which means you have to make this cornerback think you're running one route and run another one to create separation. And you have to do that on a consistent basis. And then after you do that, you have to turn at a spot and catch the ball while this cornerback is trying to prevent you from catching the ball. And then after you catch the ball, you got to turn around and you got to run toward the end zone. And while you're running toward the end zone, you got to evade the rest of the defense. So it's just like so many things can go wrong. One of those things going wrong and it's 7 points the other way, or it's no points, no gain, no yardage versus a running back. You know, it's probably better to get a running back earlier in the draft than it is to get him later in the draft because if a running back is dynamic, every time he touched the ball, you have to get him. Well, he's going to touch the ball immediately. So all of those things that the running back, that the wide receiver had to go through to get the ball, that's like step one for the running back. So if you have an elusive running back, that's why when you have C.D. Lamb, it's so hard to get him down. They put him in the backfield a lot of times, and it works because he's elusive. So he doesn't have to run all of these routes and do all of this, even though he's good at that. He can just do it from the backfield sometimes because it's just like if you need a play, he gonna get it no matter what. They know the defense is not gonna be able to stop that 9 times out of 10 because he's just that elusive. He's that good. And so with the running backs, I think that with the wide receivers, they kind of, to me, they're over analyzing Golden. He is a dominating player. He is really good.
I like
And
Golden.
me too. I would not be tripping if he was there and they took him at 12. I wouldn't want them to take him that high. I would
Mm.
like to get him later in the round, but if they have to, they're wiped out and they don't have a choice to get him in the top of the round. I wouldn't be upset as
Yeah,
long
he's
as
a Golden would be a good player. It's gonna be a good player for us if they take him because we watch Texas, and of course, we have a cousin that plays for Texas, and so we were really off into Texas, the Longhorns, and so
shout out to
he
Colin.
shout out to Colin.
He
He
changed his
changed,
number.
yeah, and but Golden, he really won the Arizona game,
And shout out to
Arizona
Clayton's
State.
Colors too. We're gonna be posting about that.
Yeah, so but Golden won the Arizona State game, from on the offense side of the ball, and then if he had to play the 4 quarters against
Ohio.
Ohio State, Texas State, they have a very good shot. They could have won the game anyway. So all of that being said, I'm good with Golden. I think it's kind of interesting. People can see my background on my blue screen.
Mm-hmm.
We got the 88s there, and we're big 88 guys. And of course, I'm partial to receivers because I play receiver myself. But all of the receivers that you see on the screen right here, the 88s, one thing they had in common.
Yeah.
None of them ran 4.4s. They didn't run 4.5s. That's Drew Pearson certainly didn't. Mike probably was slower than Drew. Dez wasn't fast. CD is not fast. What they all have in common, they just ball. They just playmakers. When the ball is in the air, it's theirs. They didn't really have a lot of separation. That wasn't their thing. They just made plays. Dez Bryant had 74 touchdowns. Michael didn't have as many, but he was called a playmaker. We know what Drew did, and look what CD is doing now. So when I look at Ted, all the things that the 88s brought to the game, those are the kind of intangibles that he has. Now, Golden is a different type of receiver. What I like about Golden is that we don't have anybody on our roster like Golden. Okay, so
Nope.
Golden is a rack and yak guy. He's a baller. He's gonna play big. When we play big games, he's gonna ball. So again, I'm fine with either one. If Ted is there, I think we take Ted. If Golden is there, if he's the only choice, we take Golden. So now let's talk about Ibuka. There are some people that like Ibuka more than Golden. So what do you think about Ibuka?
I love
What's up, B Bird?
What's up,
Appreciate you
B Bird?
joining.
For sure. I love Egbuka. I love him. Like I said last year, Tankathon is one of my best friends. I'm always on Tankathon. Well, after I discovered it about 4 or 5 years ago, and so I'm on there pretty much all throughout the season. One of my favorite things to do is the night after the draft is completed, is to go look on Tankathon and take a screenshot of it to see who's the top receiver, who's the top running back, who's the top defensive players, who the top 10 players are in the draft right then, so I can make sure I watch them during the college season. So yeah, Golden reminds me. What's up, Ty? He said reminds him of Steve Smith. I would say
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yep.
Steve Smith Jr. That's kind of who he played like. He's about the same size. He's a dog like that.
Yeah.
So
He's on the field.
the limelight is for him. You know what I'm saying? He's that guy. So I want somebody like that on the team. But Egbuka, I don't want to say he's the opposite, but he's the right kind of guy. Egbuka is he's the first player in the locker room, the last person to leave. He's the captain. He's do the right thing. He's
He's a great golfer.
He's a great guy. So he's one of those type of guys to where, somebody like that, you want them on your team as well. And he's good at what he does. He's very good. He's
like a coach's son type. You want those guys.
You do. You want those guys because those guys, they translate to help the other guys on the team. So basically, the reason why I was talking about Tankathon is because last year after the draft, when I looked up who the top players were, Egbuka was the top receiver. So for him to still be talked about as the top receiver or one of the top receivers at this point lets me know that he really is that good. And like you said, our cousin plays for Texas, so we watched Ohio State closely in the playoffs, and the number one player that we felt like that they were going to have to stop was Igbuka and Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. But Igbuka was the receiver that we were saying in our heads. It really, it's really going to be hard to stop him because he's that good. He's I can see him being a faster Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
He's I can compare him to Keenan Allen. Spectacular
I
catches.
compare Ibuka to Amron St. Brown for Detroit.
Yeah, I
But
do
he's
too.
actually, I think Amron St. Brown is probably 5'10". I think Ibuka is 6'1".
Yeah, so Igbuka to me is like your standard prototype, what you want a receiver to be. Great
Yeah.
hands, runs great routes, got some decent speed, is tough. He's smart between the ears and between the
And
ears.
he's something that we don't have. We don't have nobody on the team that does what he does.
No,
So
he would be
yeah.
perfect complement to CD.
And then your guy Burton, you probably like Burton more than Golden and Ibuka, right?
Yeah, I like Golden more than Golden. I mean, I like Igbuka more than, I mean, not Igbuka. No, I like
Luther Burton.
Luther Burden more than them two, just because of his speed and his game. His game is like, like when I watch players and I watch their films, and then you can just see the ball snap, or you see when they catch the ball, and you say, "It's no way that he's gonna get to the end zone on this play. It's no
Yeah.
way. It's seven defenders right here. It's not an avenue that he can take. He finds a way.
Like
It's
a
like
running
he
back.
like a running back. It's like you be like, it's no way he gonna get past those four guys. He gets past those four guys. Now his competition wasn't I don't know. He didn't play in like like the SEC or nothing.
He
I
didn't
don't
have the
think
best year. He's in the SEC, but he didn't have a good year.
so. He didn't have a good
He
year.
had an okay year.
So he had an okay year. And my thing is that with
He
Egbuka,
didn't have a quarterback.
he didn't have a quarterback. Uh, he said
Ted didn't either.
Yeah, Ted didn't either. But Luther, Ty said he think Luther is Dez 2.0. You know,
Dez likes Luther.
he does, and I like Luther. I want Luther. But my only thing is at 12, I would be kind of borderline taking Luther at 12, like I would be taking Egbuka or Golden at 12. I wouldn't be mad about it, but I would rather get them after trading back.
So Jay Tuck, shout out to Jay Tuck, one of the OGs in the content creating game. Jay Tuck says he would take Luther over the other three guys.
And I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
One of those four receivers I want on our team: Luther, Egbuka, Golden, or Ted. And if I had to have, and my order would be Ted, Luther, Egbuka, Golden. My
So
my
my order would be Ted, Golden, Ibuka, Burden.
right. Any one of those players will be dynamic on our team. They
Yeah.
would be the perfect competition. I mean, the perfect complement to CD, and it would just be fun watching um, our offensive coordinator and Shadi come up with game plans to get those guys the ball. That would be fun to watch.
So let's talk about this. This might be a little controversial. So Brian Broaddus on one of his shows this week,
Hmm.
he did talk about a scenario where you get washed, and he just feels like there are some people at the Star who believe they can just play with the guys that they have, and
Yeah.
that to me that's like a nightmare scenario.
Hmm.
If you come out here with this receiver by committee, your receivers are CD, Mingo, Flanoy, Brooks, Tolbert. That's the receiver by committee that we had. I think it was probably 2017
Cooper.
when they cut Dez, and for 4 or 5 games you had these guys that they called a receiver by committee. And then they had to bring in Amari Cooper. So, but yeah, we got to look at it from the standpoint of if the Cowboys come out of this draft and do not take a receiver with the first round, second round, then you got to talk about some of the other receivers. Trey Harris is kind of sneaking up into the second round. So is Higgins. We haven't watched Higgins a lot, but a lot of people are really liking Higgins. So have you checked Higgins out some more?
Yeah, I have, and he's decent. But like I said, at the top, if you're gonna get a receiver, you got to get him in the top. Otherwise, I don't want to. Otherwise, it's really not nothing to be excited about. Uh, to me, it's just like when you look at the statistics and the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. All of the balling receivers except Amon-Ra St. Brown, The
Can
majority
you
of
show
them,
some? Can you show some clips of Trey Harris
absolutely, the majority of them
and
are
Higgins?
are picked in the first and second round. The majority of them are the ball. The
So
receivers, ballers.
Higgins is sneaking into the first round. Um, so he might be somebody that we need to take a last minute look at. But if we ended up with Higgins, I think I would be good because he's moving up the chart. He's moving up.
Now, Jalen
Uh,
Higgins to me, he reminds me of what's the guy that plays for Atlanta that played at USC.
I can't think of his name. I know who you're talking about.
He remind me of him. And let me see. And he
And you
just
liked him too.
I did. I did. And he did me okay. The year that I drafted him on fantasy, he did me okay. He did. Let me see.
But Higgins is much taller. He's like 6'4", 6'5" as well.
Higgins is. Let's
Yeah.
see.
Iowa, either Iowa or Iowa State.
hmm He's a big guy. I was looking at him as more of like a I was looking at him like what is it called? The receiver that when you just catch the ball possession receiver, he doesn't
That's
have
what
much
like
yak.
that's what Keenan Allen is. He looked like Keenan Allen on that play right there you just showed. He looks like a taller Keenan Allen to me.
Dude is a baller.
Yeah, I mean again this will be like your poor man's Tet. He's
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's tall. You see he doesn't have a lot of run after the catch, but you know, uh,
He's a threat, nevertheless. You know what I'm saying? He's a threat. He's a big body out there. Your second receiver covering him is gonna have a problem.
your
I mean, I
second
mean, I mean,
corner.
your second
And
corner
he'll
have.
be good in the red zone for sure. Let's
Oh
see
yeah.
what he does right here. This is probably what he does best. And
hmm
our red zone, we need a lot of help in the red zone. So, Higgins, Ted, they're gonna be terrific in the red zone too. But you want to see a little bit more run after the catch from him, but that's just not his game. To me, he looks like a taller Keenan Allen. This is what Keenan Allen does. Obviously, Keenan Allen is a much better. I think Keenan Allen is one of the best route runners in the NFL. You
Yeah,
you like you like Amari Cooper on the route running part. I think Keenan Allen is a better route runner than Amari Cooper. I do.
I don't know about that, but I think that Keenan Allen, just his style of play, the way that he sells his routes is
Yeah,
outstanding.
yeah. And
But as far as like running routes, technically, it
you like
you know,
Amari Cooper.
yeah, he be just making people look foolish.
Yeah. But
You know
yeah,
what I'm
so and then let's look at Trey Harris. So that's
saying?
that's still Trey Harris to me looks like some of the guys that we already have. Trey Harris to me looks like what we want Mingo to be.
They went to the same college.
They went to the same school, uh, Mississippi,
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. So, Trey Harris he's got more run after the catch. I would say this: if I didn't have Mingo or Tolbert, I would be fine with Trey Harris. We just got way too many guys that they do the same thing. Trey Harris, Mingo, Tolbert, Gallup was the same type of receiver. They look
Flournoy.
Flournoy, they all
Same.
look the same.
Yeah.
Now what you see right here, what he just did right there, we haven't seen Tolbert do that. We really haven't seen Mingo do it. Obviously he hadn't been here, but
No, they gonna try to push Mingo now. That's a fact. Now, if they had to get somebody like Trey Harris, I don't think that Shoddy. I'm thinking that Trey Harris look like Cortland Sutton.
if you tell
But
me and you like Cortland Sutton more than I do,
he's a dog.
but look, let me just say this. If you told me my receiving core was CD Lamb, Trey Harris, Mingo, and Tolbert, I can work with that.
I can too, but I want someone like Cortland Sutton and Trey Harris.
Yeah. You want a bigger guy. But
He got out there on that one right there. That was a good play.
yeah, I'm seeing a more run after the catch, a little bit more speed, but what we're looking at here, this is what the Cowboys think they have in Mingo.
Yeah.
So the Mingo trade, man, you just take that trade away and give us our 4th round pick back, and you come back and you get a receiver like this, you're fine.
Maybe I haven't watched Trey Harris all the way through. I have
I've-
seen this play, but
I've watched him.
I like.
He looked like to me he just looked like Mingo. He looks like you know,
No, I like this.
yeah, he's a good player. Like I said, if you told me I had to have Trey Harris, CD and Mingo and Tolbert, I'm okay. But
Yeah.
I would prefer to have some of the other guys we mentioned.
Now I will say this too, just to let the fans know, the Cowboys are they have came out and said that they definitely will look at trading if they have to.
Well,
Uh, but Jaden Higgins, we just did Jaden Higgins. We can go back and look at him again. But tell them what you think about
right.
Jay Higgins.
And thanks for joining, Craig. Higgins to me, Craig, he looks like a taller Keenan Allen possession guy. What we just saw in Trey Harris, Higgins didn't have that type of run after the catch.
Mm-mm.
Um,
He's more of a
he's
possession receiver, but he's
yeah,
like he's a big guy, so he's
he's
6'4",
imposing. Yeah, he's
210.
6'4".
You
Don't
know,
see a lot of speed,
Mm.
but again, we got to look at what you see with him is he's making a lot of catches and not a lot of separation. He's making a lot of catches and he just gets tackled as soon as he makes the catch. He's going down. So, you know, he showed a little bit more rack right there. But again, you got to look at it too in the concept of what we're doing offensively. The guys we're talking about, they're not going to be the number one receiver. So they're probably going to get some better matchups, get some one-on-one matchups that'll probably help them, look better.
that's what
But
I was saying. Now imagine this guy in the slot. He gonna have whoever will be guarding him in the slot will have a problem.
And see, with our offense, a lot of times CD is going to be in the slot. So a lot of times these guys are going to be playing X. So they're
Yeah.
going to be on the outside. Now Ibuka and Golden, they can move inside. They can move all over the field. Um, but yeah, I think Higgins would be a guy if you trade down kind of far in the first round. He would be a guy that you could still try to get. But
Mhm.
my thing is, if you're trading down into the 20s, you're probably looking for Luther Burden right there.
Yeah.
So, but Higgins is a good receiver. Trey Harris is good. But we want to get one of these top guys. What you're looking at right there. You want to get. We taking Travis Hunter out, but somewhere between Ted and Luther is where you hopefully end up
Yeah.
with this. And so they got Higgins at 48, but we're hearing that he's moving up into the
Mhm.
first round. Not hearing a lot about Luther moving up, but
Well, they are gonna go. They are gonna go. Once Tech goes off the board, for instance, if Tech goes off the board and then we pick Golden or Ibuka, then the rest of them gonna go.
so let's talk about New Orleans. Okay, so are you hearing that New Orleans, if Shador slides, they're gonna look at Shador?
Yes,
I'm hearing Tet to New Orleans. So what do you think New Orleans is gonna do? And I don't understand why New Orleans is not a lock for Shador. Is that just Kellen doing his Jason Garrett thing? Why wouldn't Shador just be an automatic for New Orleans?
I think he is an automatic for New Orleans. I think that they said that they are like super zoned in on getting a quarterback. Since what happened to Homeboy, but I think
They talking to Jackson Dart too.
yeah, and then I seen this thing that Jackson Dart wasn't going to the draft, but that was pretty interesting. But what I'm thinking happens here is that he is an automatic lock. I don't think they would put Shador that they wouldn't choose Dart over Shador. I mean,
See,
it just doesn't make
I
sense.
think the teams that are likely to take Tet before he gets to us, and you're looking at Tankathon right now, they have Tet for the first time. Tankathon has Tet going to Dallas. He hasn't been there the entire time.
Mm-mm.
But I think the teams that could take Ted are Carolina
Mhm.
and the Saints, and then a dark horse is going to be San Francisco.
I think San Francisco is gonna try to take Ted. That's what I think. And also, this is another thing I want everybody to look at too. Abdul Carter going to the Giants. We haven't been seeing this for the first time. We've been seeing that Shador is going here, but now we're seeing that they're talking about Abdul Carter, and that's going to be like that's probably like a real likely. You know what I mean? That he goes there. Think about it, he goes to they'll have
Yeah.
like a Michael Parsons type of player, or it could go like this. I was thinking that it could go that Travis Hunter will go to the Giants because the Browns would pick another quarterback, and then Travis Hunter would go to the Giants. And then if they do that in the second round, they can trade back up and get their quarterback. But I was thinking that that's what they were gonna do. But either way, we're gonna have our hands full in our division, with the whoever they
Yeah,
pick.
and you a fourth generation. I'm a third generation Cowboy fan. For me, the NFC East, all throughout my Cowboy history, was always the best division in the NFL. That's where the big boys play. The NFC East has more Super Bowls than any other division when you add them all up.
Hmm.
So I'm used to the NFC East being a battle. So that just doesn't really move me. You're more like a fourth generation.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, the NFC East back in the day, that's you had to go through Philly, Washington, and the Giants. There was just that's what you were going to deal with. So
I
if
mean,
we have to get
at this point, I'm more concerned about beating the rest of the NFL because I feel like with our division, it's a 50-50 either way it goes. Because we be like having like last year, we beat the Redskins. It's just, we
well,
beat the Commanders. It's just like, it's a
but
you
but
having a
the but
division game.
those three but those other teams, they if we're not careful, they building they building super teams, and
We gotta
we
be a
gotta
super
yeah
team.
we gotta match up with them.
That's why
So
I said I'm more worried about other teams. We got to compete with them because when we get to the playoffs, it's all
yeah,
about the other teams that we lose. But
yeah,
yeah,
but you gotta
NFC East
acknowledge
is the
though,
NFC beast for real.
you gotta acknowledge the Eagles, what the Commanders did last year, and the
Yeah.
Giants. But that's old school football right
Well,
there.
it's a new formula that the only team that's not following the formula is the Cowboys.
Yeah,
The formula is to build a super team, and every other team is doing it. They're trading assets to get superstars. They're drafting certified ballers in the draft, and we're drafting guys like Tyler Guyton, and what's his name, Tyler Guyton, and all of these kind of players. So we got to go away from that. This year they have a chance. They have a chance. They have a really good opportunity to get ballers in this draft, and they pick high enough to do it. So
so I think it's interesting that the Cowboys, they're basically on the record saying they need a receiver. So that lets you know that somebody is taking a realistic look about what's happening out there.
yeah,
And sometimes they talk too much. That hurt them last year when they kept talking about tight end,
yeah.
and
Let the Bills get them.
they wanted Kincaid, and the Bills jumped ahead of them, and then they compounded the mistake. This was a couple of years ago by taking Schoonmaker when they could have just what they should have done. Just looking at it now,
Mhm,
they should have taken Laporta instead of Mozzie. So they could have taken Laporta with that first round pick when they took Mozzie,
mhm.
and in the second round, they could have taken and what we were hearing is that they were actually thinking about taking Overshawn in the second round.
Mhm.
So if they go back in that draft, they could have had Laporta with their first pick. They could have had Overshawn with their second pick, their third pick. So but I'm saying all that to say
It could have
this.
been a running back, Bucky Irvin.
Yeah. So they've been talking about receiver. They better hope that some of these teams, like the 49ers and the Panthers and even Seattle needs a receiver badly. So the Cowboys could look up and Seattle is trying to jump ahead of them to get gold on their tech.
And like I said, I would not be opposed to that
And
because
Seattle has a lot of picks to trade up to get one of those
I
receivers.
wouldn't be opposed to that because they'll pick up a pick and we could still mess around and get Luther or Egbuka
Well,
or
no,
Jaden
I'm
Higgins.
saying that the Seattle trades ahead of Dallas, not with Dallas. They just trade ahead of them.
Oh yeah, just jump in front of us. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be crazy.
like Buffalo did. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but
that would be.
Seattle needs a receiver, and they have extra picks.
Yeah, if those receivers are on the board when we pick off all of them all, I expect teams to be. That's what I think my heartbreak scenario is, and I think that's what's gonna. It's a possibility that might happen. We might get to 12, and Ted is there, and Golden is there, and then the Cowboys will trade away, and pick up a pick and try to trade back a few picks, and
Yeah,
that's what I think might
that's not a
happen.
good scenario. One of the things that Brian Broaddus talked about today, and it might have been yesterday. He did a show with Jeff, so shout out to Jeff and Broaddus. Brian Broaddus said there's this misperception, and I agree
Mhm.
that the Cowboys are going to automatically be able to trade down. He said that he's done drafts when he was a scout with the Eagles.
Mhm.
He said on draft day, they just sit there and their phone did not ring. And he said it happened a couple of times. So this idea that the Cowboys are going to be there on draft day with all these trade options, like Brian Browder said, we might need to just face the facts that they're not going to be able to trade like we've been doing with all these mock drafts. They're going to have to just stand in there and take a player because their
Well,
phone
yeah,
is not going to ring.
well, the given is we know that they might have to stand there and take a player, but it's just about how high they pick.
Yeah.
They pick so high that it's some teams out there that their guy because what's unique about this draft is like you got your first 5 players and they absolute ballers, but then 6 through 30 they're touching tags.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying. So you might have a team that picks 17, but they want to get their guy at 12 because it's a very high possibility that that guy might be gone because you got several teams that we know what they need. We know Seattle needs a receiver. We know we need a receiver. We know these things. You know what I'm saying? We know we need a running back. We have to get a running back in the second round or the third round. That's a fact. We have to get one. So other teams know that as well. So you know, you got to, these other things that these teams do. Like I don't think the Cowboys do. The Cowboys are, to me, the front office is always trying to be nice and play nice guy to other teams. Them other teams be trying to dog us out. Like in every phase in the draft. The 49ers will draft Ted just because they know we're trying to draft him. Just simple as that. You know what I mean? It's just like the other teams would do stuff like that. We don't do that. You know, they
And
so
we're kind of hearing the 49ers like golden too.
Yep, right. And that doesn't surprise me. So everybody that we're wanting to pick, it's a possibility that the 49ers is going to pick them.
See, I have Will Johnson. I think he's gonna fall. They got
And I
him
hope they
going.
do. I don't want them to pick him over a receiver or a running back.
No, I think Will Johnson. I don't think the Cowboys will pick him. I think he's gonna fall later in the later rounds because he didn't run.
Well, they
Um,
got this thing with that with those Michigan players.
yeah, but so yeah, I think Will Johnson is gonna fall. So I said all that to say this that the Cowboys may get you know the 49ers may get us on one of these receivers uh,
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
because they really could use one because they lost Debo and the 49ers they might actually be looking at Luther Burden. That'd be a good pickup for them.
Hmm.
He fits their system perfectly.
Yeah, and their guy got hurt. Brandon Ayuk got hurt. You know, so
Yeah,
he gonna be coming back.
Ricky Pearsall. I think he's a third or fourth receiver. So they need a two. So I think the 49ers are a dark horse. The 49ers, folks, people thinking that they're going to have a down year, 49ers are going to come back and play like they always do, and they're going to draft well. So this idea that the 49ers are going to have a down year and all of that ain't happening. They're going
Yeah.
they
As
going
a
to
matter of
draft
fact,
good.
their GM, he said, everybody. He said this. He said everybody's talking about us having a down year, but people forget that we do have to draft.
Yeah, they have they still got some moves to make now. They have lost a lot of key defensive players,
Hmm.
but they still got Fred Roberts. They still got Christian McCaffrey's coming back, and
Yeah,
of course,
I was in the barber shop yesterday. Shout out to Greg's. Shout out to Mr. Greg Johnson, uh, one of our pioneers in our community. He owns a lot of things, but shout out to Mr. Greg. And so Mr. Greg asked me, um, was were we going to win the division? And he wanted to bet me that we were going to win the division. And so that's what we do, you
he
know,
was betting you that we are going to win it,
that we're not going to win the
or
division.
that we're not.
Yeah. So we bet every year about on some along those lines. So he's a Patriots fan. So I've been getting him, a while, but he been getting me too though. I had to. Last year I had to pay up. So this thing this year is that we're gonna win the division, and a lot of people are thinking that the Cowboys are just out of it because of the kind of year that we had last year. But I just want to remind people that Dak was hurt, Micah was hurt, our major players,
Bland,
Bland was hurt, our
Tank,
major
Tank.
Tank Tank was hurt. Our major players,
Diggs.
Diggs was hurt. These are season-ending injuries, injuries where they missed 8, 9 games. A lot of these players were hurt.
If all of those guys had been healthy, we would have been in the NFC Championship game instead of Washington.
I believe that fully. I believe that. It is not just Cowboy fans saying that. I'm looking at the fact that if we would have beat the Bengals, we would have been in the playoffs. And we
Yeah.
lost that off of one play. So, I mean, it's no question in my mind that Dak would have got it together. And it's like a lot of people say, well, they wasn't playing good when Dak was playing at the beginning of the year. Well, don't you understand football? At the end of the year, your team starts to gel. That's when
Mhm.
you play better. At the end of the year, when you've played all those other games, you start playing better in November and December. You can play bad at the beginning of the year and have an awesome November and December and make it to playoffs and go far. So, we are where we're supposed to be. Now, I think that if we draft right, that'll put us over the top. If we draft some straight up ballers, that'll put us right where we need to be as far as with the other teams in the conference and the other teams in the NFC East. As long as we draft right, we can't have the kind of draft that we had a couple years ago or last year. We had to have one of those CD Lamb type of drafts where we got CD Lamb and Trayvon Diggs, where we got 2 or 3 starters, day one and day two and day three. Like,
Yep.
what I'm saying? We got to have we got to get our starting second receiver. We got
And
to
they
get our
they can
starting.
do it. The draft is there. We've been seeing all of the mock drafts. We'll do a couple here in a minute, but the Cowboys, the players are gonna fall to them. All they gotta do is pick them. Don't overthink it. Don't try to outthink the room. Just take good players. And we don't want this scenario too that I think is another bad scenario for us where we take somebody in the first round, but our second and third round picks, they just come in and immediately are playing better. Like what happened with
With BB and
Oak
Guyton.
we got BB Guyton. You can do the same thing with Overshawn, Schoon, and Mozzie. Overshawn just came in the first preseason game, just smoking people.
Hmm.
And so we don't want to see the same thing this year. We take a number one pick like Shamar Stewart. He's battling with Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, Nealon for playing time. Our second and third round picks, they over here balling.
Just making no sense for us to take an edge.
Yeah. So
So,
that's what we don't want. We don't want to do that. So
Mhm.
our first round pick, when we start the season, our first round pick needs to hit the field playing better than our second and third round pick.
yeah,
That's what has to happen.
yeah, we need that first round pick to be a solidified starter star. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you end up with Golden and you end up with Quinshawn Junkins, that's probably gonna be a wash. They both gonna ball. You can make a case where if we draft Travion Henderson, Quinshawn Junkins, they might be playing better than Golden, but that's okay because Golden gonna do his thing too.
Yeah, it's just well,
Yeah,
like we said earlier, the running back, whoever the running back is, if they in the second round or third round, they gonna touch the ball more than the receivers are because they
and
gonna
they're
be the
gonna
starting
and the
running back.
guys that we can take in the second round are running backs. They're all gonna come in and ball.
Yeah, that's just where they
Yeah,
are too. They
yeah,
they that's where they are. All of them are good.
yeah. They're gonna come in, hit the ground running, and I think we should double dip at running back. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but if we double dip at running back, the second running back we take, same exact thing. They're gonna come in, they're gonna ball.
Yeah, Brayshawn or Tootin or Brayshawn from SMU, they gonna ball.
Hernandez. So
Yeah, he gonna ball.
yeah.
Scatterboo, they gonna ball.
The only way you really, like I said, you can mess this draft up if they come in
Hmm.
and they just start doing goofy stuff. You got all these players sitting here and they're just like,
Taking players that they should be taking in the third round in the first
yeah.
round.
And I will say this about the content creators. Shout out to all of the content creators. Look, we know what we're talking about. Some of the guys we've been watching the last couple of years that we done got to know a little bit, they know the draft.
Mhm.
We knew last year the content creators that were watching the draft, they were like, this is not really going the way it could go. And the year we drafted Mozzie and Scone,
Mhm.
that was my first time watching content creators.
Mhm.
So it was 3 of the OG content creators doing that draft, and we took Mozzie and Scone, They
Mhm.
were like taking their headsets off.
Mhm.
Like,
Me
what are
me
we
me and
doing?
me and Kevin was on the phone. We didn't know what to say.
And so that's what the Cowboys cannot do in this draft. And it was a little bit of that last year. I know I was at a fraternity convention,
I was in class watching it on my laptop.
and we didn't have a draft on. They were watching the Mavericks. We were like in a presidential suite at a hotel,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, I was texting you to keep you updated.
yeah. And I was texting you, and I was seeing some of the players that were coming across the ticker that we drafted, and I was like, "We've been covering the draft.
We didn't even
Nobody had Nealon right there."
no. We didn't even look at him because he was so far down on the board. He
Yeah.
wasn't even at
And
the
then
point.
Guyton, look. What I keep saying about Guyton is on the team. We pulling for him, but it was multiple content creators saying the Cowboys should not draft Guyton.
A lot of them, and then they was just like they should not draft him because he plays right tackle.
Yeah. So again, content creators, it's a
They were saying
different.
that look, they were saying that he played right tackle. They were saying that he holds a lot and he's not strong, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened to him in the league.
So look, we hoping that he bounced back. He done kind of kind of changed his physique, because to me he looks like a defensive end or a tight end. He doesn't look
Power
like a
forward.
tackle. So we're gonna see. He got quick feet. So look, we hope he come back and play better. You want to go ahead and do a couple of mocks,
Yeah,
and then we'll just talk about what we're gonna talk about tomorrow.
yeah, and I wanted to say this too. So when I started watching the content creators, probably about like 5 years ago, one thing that drew me into it was that um everybody in Cowboy Nation and all the content creators was all on the same page. That's what I liked about it. That we all shared the same sentiment. Everybody
And
felt
they
the
really are
same
this
way.
year too.
Right. That's what I liked about it because everybody felt the same way. And I was just like, everybody feel the same way. Like, the way that I would feel most of the time when I'm talking Cowboys to people, I just got to be quiet because, I figure out pretty quick that a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. So it's just like you gotta just kind of just be quiet.
So this year, the content creators, the big debate is offensive line and weapons. So you got the content creators, CFT, Tuck, Landlord, Henny. I guess us. We're all on the receiver thing. We want a receiver in the first round.
I was talking to
Then,
CFT a couple of days ago. Shout out to CFT.
and then you got your other OGs like Lou, Boss, and those guys. They want to go offensive line, Booker. But the thing that we all have in common is we understand too that one of the reasons we having this debate is because the Cowboys dropped the ball in the last two drafts. They put us where we are because they could have had Matthew Bergeron. They could have had Barton last year. If they had drafted Matthew Bergeron and Barton, we wouldn't even be talking about O-line. And
Yeah,
then with the left tackle, if they hadn't drafted Guyton, the guys that we had playing left tackle, then you would be looking at Josh Simmons from Ohio State in this draft. He will be your tackle for the next 8-9 years.
and
So
I will say this, guys, about the linemen. I am never opposed to taking a starting lineman in the first round. I mean,
I
if that's
like Simmons.
yeah, me too,
I
man.
like Booker too.
I like the guard from LSU. He's a tackle, but
So
we were playing at guard. I like him.
I would love to draft a receiver and then try to trade back up in the second round. I trade back up to get Booker, but again, you don't have the resources because you gave away your fourth round pick. But I would even look at trading a pick next year to draft, go up and try to get Booker or
Mm.
Josh Simmons. I would, but
So I don't want to do any trade backs right now because when I do want to do trade backs and then I figure out the first one is just like something I will absolutely do, but it's unrealistic. I don't want to do it
yeah.
no more.
So I think between now and next Thursday when we're doing shows, I think we should just if we trade, it should be in the second round.
Yeah,
So I think I
I
would just
think
be conservative, but
I,
yeah.
yeah, we should just be conservative. I think that this is a likely scenario. You get wiped out with Ted and Shador goes to New
So
Orleans.
where is Golden?
Golden is at pick. He's down there at 15, and they have Mimbu and Jalen Walker and Kevin Banks in front of him. So any one of these four guys that you take, I think would be okay. I wouldn't take Jalen Walker. I
It's gonna
wouldn't
be
take Membu.
between Mimbu and Golden, so I think they're gonna take Golden here.
Yeah, I would take Golden here. So we're gonna
Yeah.
take Golden, and then
Now, one thing I want to talk to you about this second round pick. We're hearing a lot of people like Schlesinger from UCLA in the second round with that 44 pick.
nah,
Yeah, I'm not there either. I just think you got to go running back here.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
So let's see who the top players, and then let's see who our running backs are.
The top player is Egbuka Milroe, Watts from Notre Dame, the safety. It's a sleeper. And then you got Mason Taylor, the tight end from LSU. He's a baller. Then you got Travion Henderson as the top running back. He's at 48. Um, man,
Now, do you like Travion Henderson or Judkins? A lot of people are liking Judkins over Henderson.
I like the faster one.
We talked to Big Game James. He liked Henderson.
Yeah, I'm on big game James train on that one. I like
Shout
Henderson.
out to Big Game too. Appreciate you
Shout out.
joining our show.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, where is Judkins at?
Dang, he's down here at 56. See me in this position right here. I would go Mason Taylor. That's what I would do. That's probably not what they gonna do.
No, I think they would take Henderson.
Yeah. So I'll take Henderson, but I would take Mason Taylor, and I'm gonna tell you why after.
And I don't think Milroe's going to be right there.
Yeah, that's
Milroe's going in the first round.
Yep. But
or high in the second.
But see, this is why I would have took Mason Taylor, y'all, because when you get to the third round and you got
running backs there,
you got Caleb Johnson sitting right there. So I would have took him. I would have took
Mason. You would have took Mason. You would have took Taylor, and then you still would get a running back.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that would have been a good option. You might have that choice on our second one. So with our third round pick, we got a running back, we got a receiver.
They're taking Alfred Collins. So
Alfred Collins is right there. Yeah, that would be the way to go. This again. This is a realistic draft for Dallas.
Yep.
Did you go to the fifth?
Yep.
Let's see who the top player is.
Jack Sawyer, the edge from Ohio State. I would take Malachi Moore from Alabama, the safety. Teddy Buchanan is there, the California linebacker. That would be an option for me. The guard, Garrett Dellinger, he would be an option for me.
So who's the highest rated player?
Jack Sawyer.
He's a edge.
Yeah.
To me, he's more like Nealon. We've already got a guy like that. He doesn't fit to me.
Samson is a baller from Tennessee.
That's the running back.
Yep.
So we're in the fifth.
Yeah, I would take Malachi Moore from Alabama, the safety.
Okay, well go ahead and take him, and then me, I would try to get another back with my last pick.
This is the last pick.
Oh, okay, I thought we had 2 fifths.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, we got 2.
Okay. So Malachi Moore.
Yep.
And well, what about Garrett Dellinger? Let's see, where is he at on Tankathon? In the offense, is he on Tankathon as an offensive guard? I don't think he is. I watched him though. But anyway, I'm gonna take Malachi Moore. All right, and then with the running back, next, let's say Devin Neal.
Let's see who the highest rated player is.
The highest is Jake Brenningstool, and then Devin Neal from Kansas, the running back.
I'm taking Devin Neal.
Okay, let's see what other running backs are here. Oh wow. Oh yeah. Corey Kenner is there, Jordan James, Jarquez Hunter, Jaden Blue.
Oh man, Jaden Blue.
Yeah, I would take Jaden Blue.
Let's watch Devin Neal. Can you pull up his tape?
Yeah.
Let's watch him for a minute, and then let's watch. I want to see Devin Neal.
Mm-hmm.
We know what Jordan Blue looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Blue would be just a terrific third down back coming out of the backfield. Man, just man.
Yeah, dynamic player. He
See,
he he
see,
he would be taking snaps from your top running back.
in blue, I'm going old school Cowboy stories. He's a typical third down Tom Landry back. Tom Landry brought this into the NFL. What Jordan Blue did on third down in the passing game.
Jaden Blue.
Jaden Blue, yeah. Now this is not Texas, is it?
No, this Devin Neal.
Oh, that's Devin Neal. Okay,
Oh
okay, I
yeah,
got it.
that one right there was good. That play right there was good.
So Devin Neal is a bigger back.
Yeah, he looking nice.
Yeah.
This his size. If he can catch the ball out the backfield, he looking nice. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
this is what we're saying with this Cowboy team. If they just do this draft right, you cannot tell me with the players that we just took right here, we didn't do any trades. You can't tell me that. Let's see what Marcus is saying. Teams think 10 through 40 are the same players, like Brian said. Teams not giving up a haul to move up.
Oh
Yeah,
look at
I
that.
agree with you, Marcus. I just think all of these trades scenarios that we've been doing, preparing for this draft, I just don't think they're realistic. I think the Cowboys are going to sit there. They're not going to get a call, and they're going to have to just stand in there and take a player. But if they don't do any trades, they can come away with good players. There is no excuse. There's no excuse for not coming away with good players. And with the players that we're taking with no trades, you're gonna immediately be competitive with our division. It's
The
just no
guys
doubt
that
about
the
it.
guys that we just took them. Well, I'm gonna take Devin Neal. I like what I'm looking.
But
What I'm
go. Let's
seeing.
look at blue.
Okay. But yeah, the guys that the guys that we just took, most of them probably gonna be,
And then just think about what we're doing right here. These are running backs, so there might be some weeks or a game where Travion Henderson is not playing. He might just be nicked up, whatever the case may be. You put in Devin Neal, you're not missing anything. And then one of the free agent running backs that we signed, his name escapes me at the moment, the guy from Denver, the bigger guy, you can still play him as well. You're going to carry 4 backs. So,
what's the score in the Mavericks game?
I don't
Jesus,
know. I ain't pulling for them to win.
golly,
They winning.
I don't know.
So, but you can go up and pull up blue, and then you probably catch some of that game. But is it Jaden or Jordan?
Jaden, Jaydon. Jaden is our guy. We watched him a lot. Matter of fact, we watched him every game last year. So, and toward the end of the year, he started balling.
He got better, yeah.
Toward the end of the year, he was, yeah, man, he different.
Yeah. But
Uh,
they ain't showing him come out of the backfield. Coming out of the backfield, catching them wheel routes,
he
catching them.
different.
Yeah, he's like I said. This is the type of back that Tom Landry introduced to the league.
Coming out the backfield and then running him like in a slot. It's
hmm
he's a
So Devin Neal is a more physical, more
prototypical running back.
but Blue, he got
Like,
another gear,
yeah,
and he got that. Like I said, he got that passing game. I wish we could just find his cut ups with him just catching the ball out of the backfield.
yeah. This on Tank Console. I mean, this is on YouTube, so it probably ain't gonna show that.
So you gonna go ahead and take Blue?
Yeah. I'll take blue. Yeah,
So
I'll
that's
take
how.
blue.
That's how. Let's go ahead and do this, and then we'll do one more. There you go.
So
Yeah, he
out of
caught the
this
ball
draft,
right there.
yeah,
He got great hands.
he got great hands. He can
Get
he
my
like a
feet.
running back slash receiver.
Yeah.
Golly, look at that! Look at that speed. Nah,
Oh
man,
yeah. Yeah.
he be burning. I thought that he was gonna be Ohio State by himself. I thought that he was gonna be Ohio by himself.
Man, Texas could have won that game.
Cause the way that they put on the show, the game before that, with him running the ball, I was just like, yeah, it's gonna be hard to
Well,
beat.
yeah. So in the Arizona State game, he ran the ball well. In the Ohio State game, he caught the ball out of the backfield.
Golly, I would love to have him on my team. But
Yeah.
anyways, so out of this draft, we got let's see,
So go ahead and pick him, and then we can close this one down and do one more. Then we can wrap.
so out of this draft, let's look who we got. Uh,
And we did no trades.
no trades, y'all, and we got Matthew Golden, Trevion Henderson. Those are two starters.
Alfred
Alfred
Collins
Collins
probably will be a starter.
over Mozzie. Then you got Malachi Moore. He gonna play a lot. And then you got Jaden Blue, who's gonna play a lot. So this right here is a team
I
changing
gotta
draft.
watch Malachi more. I'm not that familiar with him, but
Yeah. This is
Alabama. So
yeah. This is a team changing draft right here.
and you did no trade backs.
No trade back.
So all they got to do is just stay there and pick the players. This draft right here, if they had did this in 23 and 24, we would be a totally different team. But they didn't do that.
Yeah, no
They got goofy. They just like 23. I still ain't figured out what they were doing.
yeah, this
Because
is
McCarthy wanted Bergeron,
hmm
and then they wanted a tight end. They could have just took Laporta. They
Yeah,
could have
no
took him
one,
in the first round.
yeah, no one knows what they were doing, and nothing that they did made sense.
And they were talking about Overshawn in the second round. He would have been a second round pick, and you would have had a terrific draft.
Yeah, I'm looking at Malachi Moore now.
Pull him up right quick.
All right, let me see. He just your prototypical safety, I believe. Let me see. Let's look at him here.
And Eberflus likes to play his safeties deep, I believe.
Well, Malachi Moore plays up in the box.
He does.
hmm Yeah, but he's a dog. I like him. He's one of those guys that I was talking about earlier when you looked at Tankathon last year. He was up on that board.
Yeah, this will be a good pick.
hmm Yeah, he definitely one of them ones. He not ranked. He not I don't think he's the highest ranked safety, but he just got a lot of energy and he just a baller.
But
You
yeah,
know.
that's what we need. We need energy. We need to get all these choir boys off our team, man. We don't
No.
need no right kind of guys. We don't need all of this.
Like on this play right here, he almost got ejected. I'm sure because that was he had to hit him like that. You know what I'm saying? Boom! You ain't got to do
That
all
was
that.
illegal. That was a legal hit though. It wasn't.
Yeah,
He
it
didn't
was a
hit him
legal
with.
hit. It looked different, but he
It
wasn't definitely
targeting.
tried to lay him out though.
Yeah, that would be a terrific pick.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and do one more, and then we'll close.
Okay. Let's see.
No trades.
All right. Let's see. All right. So let's do no trades, and then we'll close out.
Hey, let's do something different. Let's go all the way to the 7th.
All right.
You started back. Started over.
Yeah, I can just start it over. All the way to the 7th.
Then we'll wrap.
All right. No trades or nothing. Shador is there. I think this is a very this is likely, and I would take Shador, but they would probably take Golden or Tyler Warren right here.
So Ted is gone.
Yeah,
Who did he go to?
the Panthers.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go to the Panthers or the Saints.
I do
Who
too.
do the Saints take?
Will Johnson.
They're not taking Will Johnson.
They're taking Shador.
Yeah, so we got Golden. We're gonna just go with it. We know that's probably gonna be the pick.
Tyler Warren there, but they're gonna take Golden. Look at Shador. Shador didn't fail all the way to the bottom of the first round.
So he'll be a Steeler.
Let's see who they got him going to on here. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they got Seattle taking Luther Burden.
Yeah. That's they ain't gotta trade up to get him. That'd be great for them. They can keep all their picks. So we're looking for a running. Let's just go our running back.
Well,
Tyleek Williams at the top.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be getting a running back because we got Kenneth Grant, Tyleek Williams, and Jalen Milroe. We wouldn't be.
Who
getting
you
no.
taking out of Grant? And you gonna take Grant?
Yep.
That's probably what they would do. So let's take Grant.
Oh, I would take Jalen Milroe. That's what I would do.
No, they're not taking Jalen Milroe.
Nah.
But yeah. So now you're trying to get a running back.
And Trevion Henderson is the best player on the board. So
for real?
Yeah.
Ain't no way he gonna be that far down.
Well, that's it. He is.
Who's the next running back?
Caleb got to be or DJ Giddens. Yeah, you got to take it. 210 is down there too, so you got to take Travion Henderson here.
Yeah, we're gonna take Henderson. I was just saying who was gonna be there because
that would be more
I
realistic.
think in real life it'd be Giddens.
Yeah,
So,
and
but
I'm
okay,
not
so
too excited about him being our
I
starting running back.
like him.
I would take Tuchin over him.
But we took okay, so
Now we in the 5th round, and Dylan Sampson is there.
These are the best players.
Devin Neal, Riley Leonard. I don't see my boy from Alabama. He ain't there no more.
The safety?
Yeah.
You click on safety?
He went to the Jaguars.
Okay.
Yeah, so Dylan Sampson, Jamari Caldwell, Garrett Dillinger, Devin Neal, or Riley Leonard.
I would take Devin Neal. How far down is he?
He's at 152, and you picking at 149, so he's not that far down.
Yeah, I'm taking
over Dylan Sampson from Tennessee.
A lot of people like him.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched him a whole lot, so you can take him, but we know what Devin Neal is. We just watched him.
Yeah. So we can take Dylan Sampson. And we know what Devin Neal is about. So around 5, you got Riley Leonard as the top on the board. I would take him. Isaiah Bond is still here.
Isaiah Bond?
Yeah, he's like he's at 180.
You would definitely take him right here. You would have took Isaiah Bond earlier, but boy, they're thinking he's gonna drop down that far.
I don't know.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, it would be crazy. And
we now we're in round 6.
Yeah, we took that other running back. We should have took Jaden Blue.
He was there?
Yeah, I didn't see him, but he was there because he way down here. He 196.
So who's at the top up there?
Ty Robinson, Cam Jackson from Florida. I want that big guy from Florida. That's what I want. Holland Pierce, Jordan James, Cody Lindenberg, Jaden Blue, Vernon we're
in the 6th round. Let's just take Jaden Blue. I don't think this is realistic, so we'll take him.
Oh yeah, the Mavericks getting beat up.
Okay, so who the highest rated player here?
Ty Robinson.
What do you play?
Defensive tackle. Cam Jackson.
All these running backs are there. It's like weird. Jordan James is here.
Yep. Well, Taj Brooks is there.
Who's the best safety?
Hunter Wohler from Wisconsin. I don't know him. Shiloh.
Let's take Shiloh. We're in the 7th round.
We just looking for familiar names at this point. I don't see anybody that I know. Jimmy Horn Jr., the wide receiver from Colorado.
I've heard a lot about him. Well, not heard a lot about him. I've actually watched him play. Let me see. So who's the top player? Yeah, we can just hit
Ty Robinson.
What does he play?
Defensive tackle.
Let's take him. And we still got one more.
Yeah.
Who's the next player?
Taj Brooks, the running back. We can take Jimmy Horn Jr. Oh, Trevor Etienne. Etienne is here. Ooh. No, that's what's name brother. It's Travis Etienne brother.
We got like 3 backs now.
Yeah. I would take Jimmy Horn Jr.
All right.
Give him a shot at the big leagues.
We still got another pick.
Okay. So
who's the top rated player?
Taj Brooks. Then you got Tyler Batty from BYU. He's an edge. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead and take Tyler Batty. We just throwing darts.
Yeah, man. Now this is realistic too, y'all, because this is a whole thing. So it's Matthew Golden, Kenneth Grant, Trevion Henderson, Dylan Sampson, Isaiah Bond, Jaden Blue, Shiloh, Ty Robinson.
I think this is the one that's kind of far fetched a little bit. There's no way Travion Henderson is in the third round.
Yeah,
Matthew Golden, Kenneth Grant, realistic. Dylan Sampson. So our running
really.
backs are Dylan Sampson and Jaden Blue.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
and
it's still a great draft.
yeah,
And
and
Isaiah
Isaiah
Bond,
Bond at 174. That's not realistic.
no.
But if you
And-
had this team right here, you got Shiloh playing
But
safety.
but let me say this while we close out, and I've been talking to people about this on Twitter. Here, and this is where we started our show. I think we need to totally revamp our wide receiver room. Okay.
Oh,
So if you can figure out a way to get Ted or Matthew Golden, and then you can figure out a way to sneak Isaiah Bond onto this roster, I'm absolutely doing it.
oh man, that'll be dynamic.
I'm doing it.
That would change your whole team
Yeah,
for 5 years.
you would be out there with CD, Golden, or CD and Ted and Bond.
If you got Golden and Bond, you are.
And this is where our fourth round pick is going to hurt us.
If you got Golden and Bond on your team,
If Bond starts sliding and he gets down like into the third or fourth round, they need to figure out a way to trade up and get him. I'm telling you now.
even if they took Ted or
Yeah.
Golden,
That's what the Cowboys need to do this year. They need to just like get outside the box, just go big or go home. That's what you're gonna have to do to compete with these teams that we're going up against. This right kind of guy, playing it close to the vest. Just cut all of that out.
trying to go for the big story.
Yeah, just and Jerry Jones likes the kind of Bond type stories where he can come in and turn the guy's career around. So to me, I got Bond as my sleeper. If he gets down into the third or fourth round, I'm trying to figure out a way to get up and get him.
Remember, y'all, he was ranked higher than Golden until he ran a better 40.
And he transferred from Alabama.
He did.
He was a good player at Alabama too. So
He was.
that's one of my sleeper picks. If they do trade down and pick up an extra pick, he's one of the guys that I would target. If they trade down,
He the one that opened up my eyes on Alabama, because when he transferred and he was just talking about the differences in the lifestyle that they lived in Alabama versus going to UT, University of Texas, I was like, why would anybody want to go to Alabama then? Based off what he was saying, he was just like, it's just not a fun place.
That's what's going to happen going forward. Ain't nobody going. They're going to be coming to Texas.
Ain't nobody going up there when they can go to Texas and
Alabama.
and live
Nick
like
Saban is out.
Nah, they go to Texas and live like superstars and drive Ferraris.
The schools is going to be
and Lambos.
The college, the two teams that's going to do college football is going to be Texas and Ohio State.
Man, have you ever been to the west side of Austin?
I've been to Austin, like a lot of times. I don't really know the city as well as you do.
The west side of Austin is like beautiful.
It's like Frisco, like are you talking about just the scene, the trees and the scenery?
Yeah, just the scenery, because it's on Lake Travis.
Okay, yeah.
I'm talking about like you got to drive through up the hills, and I used to work on Bee Cave. Man, it's beautiful. It's like a lot of the NFL players, they have houses out there because it's beautiful.
So Lauren said she talked to Ariel for about 2 hours, and Ariel told Lauren she needs to just move to Austin and start over.
She told me that. And I was just like, that is just like, hey,
Yeah.
Austin is like my second. Well, I consider Houston my second home now, but before Houston, it was Austin, because you go to Austin, you'll never want to come back home. When I used to go to school in Austin, I used to come back home on Thursdays just so I could hang out here on Friday, but just so I could get back to Austin on Saturday because I
Mm.
don't. It was that fun. It's a college town, but it's also domesticated because it's a huge city. So you got a mixture of people, and a lot of people come from different areas. But it's just always something to do. It's always, you know, it's a lot of people there. Everybody is
Well, it's known for music and art too.
all of the indie festivals,
Yeah.
all of the, you know what I'm saying? Like this is like a picture of Mount Benel, and like this is in West Austin, and I'll show this when we get off before we get off. But this is like West Austin. And like we have like I had like, been there several times, but like it's beautiful place. Like you see how you stand up on this mountain by all those mansions down there
On the lake.
on the lake, man. It's like it's these are huge
That's the
homes.
Brazos River, I'm assuming.
That's Lake Travis.
Oh, that's Lake Travis.
Yeah. I think it might be the Brazos River. I don't know.
Yeah, that's like a river.
Yeah, it is a river. Now that you said that, I don't know what that is. That is lake. That is the Colorado River.
The Colorado River. Okay.
Yeah. But man, yeah, man. It's just Austin is a great place to be. You go down there and you get trapped. You never want to come home. Don't want to
Yeah.
come home. So you know. But yeah. So shout out to Aria. She's
Hmm.
somebody we gonna be uh probably introducing y'all to. We're gonna be doing some stuff with our cousins, and she's a pioneer out here. She doing a lot of things, a lot of great things in the community, and so
Hmm.
we're gonna be that's what we're about. We're a community driven family. We do a lot in our community, and that's kind of what we do. So um, y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. We got a lot of things coming up soon. I'm gonna be dropping some videos that I directed and produced and filmed and all of that. And we're gonna be dropping that we're gonna be dropping that around the draft time before the season starts. And we're gonna be doing we got 6 days away from the draft, right? So when is the draft? For Thursday?
Thursday, yeah. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna come on Thursday night. It's gonna be a lot of people doing content, but we kind of have our followers, so we'll be on for our people that we have and do a
Yeah.
little do our draft thing. And we've never done it before. This will be our first one, so it'll be kind of fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun, and you know what I'm saying. So we're gonna all get to see each other's reactions and talk about
My
what's
my
happening.
green screen went out again. We got to figure out why it's doing that.
Yeah, I have to figure that out. I have to put my IT brain on, IT hat on, and figure that out.
But this the longest it stayed on.
Yeah, I wonder what that has to do. I
It,
wonder if
it
it's the
and
camera.
then yeah, and then my power is kind of going down too. So I need to keep my computer plugged up. But yeah, let's come back and figure out tomorrow what we're gonna talk about. Our Saturday Night Live. We might have some people that want to jump on,
Hmm. So what you want to
and
talk about tomorrow?
we'll talk about it tomorrow
All
during
right,
the
y'all.
day.
So we'll see y'all tonight. Everybody be safe. It's Friday night. The city is lit. Y'all make sure y'all be safe, and you know,
And
don't
by
drive.
and
Don't
by
drive drunk.
let's get rid of Nico
Yeah, get rid of Nico, man. We not
like
we
soon as possible.
soon as possible. You know what I'm saying? And y'all have a good night.